Morse code for prepping. Do you need Morse code? I think so. It's a very interesting communication mode. It can be used with not only radio, but say a flashlight, a laser pointer, a drum, your hands, a radio, of course. There's just so many ways to use Morse code to communicate. It also affords you a certain level of privacy because it's not something everybody knows. It's certainly not something the gang of thugs around the corner knows, and it allows you to communicate with a certain privacy. I remember a video that I saw once, and I talked about this before, about a prisoner of war during Vietnam who spelled the word torture with his eyelids, being filmed by the Viet Cong. They didn't catch it. The Viet Cong didn't catch it. So he was able to say that what he was saying was basically under torture. Really a gut-wrenching video, but it shows clearly that Morse code can be extremely useful even today. Also, there are technical considerations why Morse code is better. I'll show you, for instance, a radio here that's a Morse code only radio. This radio has 5 watts of power and has a global range, meaning that I can talk to someone from here, Florida, to say Australia or South Africa or Eastern Europe or anywhere, England, without much trouble when the conditions are right, using very little battery power. So I power this with AA batteries, 8 of them. If I use the radio, and I've done it while camping for say a week, I probably could use it for 2 weeks without having to change batteries, and those batteries are pretty light to carry. That can fit in your shirt pocket. I even have a smaller one. That's not the smallest one I have, but I love those radios, and it covers 2 bands, 20 and 40 meter for this one. There's a later model that covers 3 bands. This is called a Weber MTR. It's an awesome radio. It's got many features that are very useful, and again, the range is absolutely awesome. Now, if you want a radio that does voice, here is the size that you are going to get. This is a Elecraft KX3. It does voice modes, all the bands. It does Morse code, of course, that's its main function, but it's a much bigger radio to carry. If you have a bug out bag, do you want this in it or do you want this one? I think it's an easy choice. Of course, you have to learn Morse code. That's not, it takes some time. I would go to lcwo.net. It's a very good website to learn Morse code online. If you have an iPhone or iPod, iPad, get something called Ham Morse. It's a very good program that uses what's called the Koch, K-O-C-H, I believe, method, which works pretty well. But really my point is that Morse code is very important to know. I remember another story about a couple where they both had a ham radio license and they both knew Morse code. And the husband had a heart attack. He survived, but he went, had multiple bypass surgery, and when his wife came to see him after the surgery, he couldn't talk because he had a tube down his throat. Okay, so but he was in great pain, and he wanted to tell her, and he basically he tapped Morse code on her arm, told her that he needed something for pain, and told her he loved her. And that's a pretty touching story. It shows how sometimes you need to communicate with someone, and you can't use language, voice basically, you need another method. And because the Morse code radios are so portable, they're called actually QRP radios, I find them to be very useful in that regard. There are enough people doing Morse code in the world, or the US, so you wouldn't believe how many people actually know Morse code. There's just many people, ex-military, a lot of ham radio guys know Morse code. I could turn this, one of these radios on right now, and we would hear Morse code everywhere. So it's not rare. It's not a forgotten skill. There could be more people knowing Morse code, and that's what I'm trying to do. If preppers all learn Morse code, we would all have some means of communications that other people would not necessarily know, and it would be more private that way. It would be more secure. Okay. So I would definitely suggest anybody to learn it, even if you don't have a radio. Even if you're not into radio, there are many ways you can communicate with Morse code that doesn't require a radio. Okay, like I said, flashlight works perfectly fine. You can just raise a stick up and down in the air. You can send a message like that. It would be a very good thing for your group or yourself, your family to know. Just make a game out of it. Just have fun with it and quiz each other and send little sentences. Or it's like texting basically without a phone. So I would definitely suggest giving it a shot, because it's a very good means of communication. And if something happened, some kind of emergency, I can guarantee you that the Morse code radios would be the last ones to shut down, because recharging batteries is not a trivial thing to do. Okay, people have generators, but they forget that generators need gas, and gas runs out and gas goes bad. You won't have gas available forever, and so you need to have a means of communications that use very little power. I have a small Goal Zero solar panel that's about that big, foldable. It can recharge 4 AA batteries at a time. It's called Nomad 7. And the little holder that holds 4 AA batteries and charges them is called a Guide 10. I use those. They work really well together. I can recharge 8 batteries in one day, and those batteries will last at least a week. So it's I basically have power to power my radios pretty much forever, as long as the solar panel works, which could be decades. So that's the main reason really why I think Morse code is so good, because of the privacy, but also because of the low power requirement, the range. Using Morse code is like using a laser instead of a flashlight. When you send a voice message, it's a very wide, it's a broadband, not broadband, but it's a very wide range of frequencies, probably about 3 kilohertz, for SSB modes, if you know what that is. If you send a Morse code message, it's only probably 30 hertz. It's a very thin portion of the frequency. So all that power, if you have 5 watts Morse code, it's probably equivalent to 100 watts voice, so about 20 times difference. To produce 100 watts, you need a fairly, good-sized battery. You're not going to want to carry that battery with you, because, even if it's a gel cell about that big, the battery is going to be 10 pounds. Would you rather carry food than a battery? Well, yeah. So that's a big concern when you're mobile, when you have to move, and a lot of preppers they think that, I'll just bug in. Yeah, that's the best solution, really, especially if you have a group of people. I would definitely suggest that. All right, looks like we went over 10 minutes. I need to wrap this up. So yes, I would not want to carry a generator to recharge a 10-pound battery to power a 5-pound radio. It's just not practical. Sometimes you don't have the choice, you have to move away from your location. There could be, I don't know, radiation, some kind of disease, some kind of gangs roaming the neighborhood. You might not have a choice, so you'll have to carry your stuff. And I believe that communications is an important part of survival. So you need that gear. Hence, the use of small Morse code radios. It's something that's really good to know. Again, even if you don't use a radio, flashlight would work perfectly fine. So it's Morse code is here to stay. I think it's going to be here for a long time. It's just too useful to go away, basically. And it's something that, again, I believe every prepper should learn. So give it a shot. Just have fun with it, and you'll learn something very useful that could come very handy someday. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day.